We can move to the track now. It's the first of 5 heats in the women's 800 metres. They're due off in just a minute or so's time. 6 athletes go in this first heat. The qualifying from each of these 5 heats. The first 2 go through by right to tomorrow's semi-finals with 2 non-automatic qualifying spots. There's Maite Kohlberg of Germany, the German 1500 champion this winter indoors. Set a personal best in her first race of the winter, just outside 2 minutes. There's Lore Ibardabal. He was the Spanish champion in Madrid a couple of weeks back. Best of 2:01 this winter. Evelyn Martinen of Finland. 2:01, her lifetime best this winter, in good form. Dumas, Charlotte Dumas of France, second in the French Championships, the Clermont-Ferrand athlete. Her indoor PB is better than her outdoor PB. Erin Wallace of Great Britain goes in lane 2 for the Giffnock North Club. Ran 1:59 outdoors last summer. She's a good athlete, and Georgia Maria Despolari of Greece goes on the inside. 4 times the Greek indoor champion, a best of only 2:03. That was 3 weeks ago in Belgrade. She could struggle a little bit here, but no pacemakers. These are tactical races. First of 5 heats then, and away they go. Who's going to take this one out? Fastest starting is Martinen of Finland there in the blue strip, third to left. Coming right across, quite aggressive. There's Kohlberg. Those straights are so short. I thought she'd cut across too soon, but no, she judged it perfectly as Martinen hits the front. Kohlberg of Germany behind the Finn in second place. The French athlete there in third place, Dumas. And this looks like a pretty tasty tempo. 28.11, I should say so. That's fast.
Yes, that's well under 2-minute pace at the moment. I think it'll ease up a little bit, but Martinen doing a fantastic job here. It's, of course, no fastest non-automatic qualifier. I do apologise, 2 fastest non-automatic qualifiers, but it's going to be a quick race, this one, if it carries on at this sort of tempo. Martinen at the moment leading the way with Kohlberg and Dumas sitting nicely on the shoulder. Ibardabal lurking there, the very good Spaniard as well. This is a very good race indeed. 59.49 at 400 metres.
So a much slower second lap there. They did blast off there, but she did the right thing, Martinen, to get out in front to control this. These wide bends make them far more significant than on most indoor tracks. Dumas on the inside, trying to just ease through there. Still the German Kohlberg in third place. Bringing up the rear at the moment, the Greek Despolari. She is on schedule here for a big personal best. She keeps this going. Wallace has got some work to do, the Britons, second from left as they come through the bell now. Four abreast there, a 32.5-second lap there. Compare that with the first lap of 28.1. That lap was over 4 seconds slower, but they go into the back straight for the final time. Still Martinen, the race-long leader. Kohlberg on her shoulder. Dumas on the inside in third. Wallace trying desperately to get back to these 4. Remember, it's only the first 2 who go through by right. The Spaniard beginning to struggle a little bit now by the bell as Wallace is boxed on the inside there in 5th and is still kicking for the finish here. Evelina Martinen, good running from Dumas. They're going to be 1-2 across the line. Wallace, I think, just gets through third place on the inside. The winning time, 2:02.75. Well, it was taken out well by Evelina Martinen. She really worked for that one. She got the win she deserved so richly. Good running from Dumas to come through in second place. And Wallace does get third spot, but it's less significant than the time, which is so critical. We'll have to wait and see how they come through with that time. Because certainly 2:02.96 for second place. That means Wallace, I think, will be outside 2:03, and that's not going to worry anybody. So let's see. Yes, Wallace... her time in third place. It's still waiting for it to come through, actually. It's a photo. Wallace, 2:03.38. I'm not sure that'll be quick enough to get one of those 2 non-automatic qualifying spots. She just outdips Kohlberg, the German, there. In fact, it's down to thousandths between them. Kohlberg in 4th. But 4 more heats to come, Phil. It's a little worrying for British fans.
Yes, as you can see there, Wallace, 2:03.36. Well, it was 2:03.20, more or less, that got people through the first round as fastest non-automatic qualifiers 2 years ago in Istanbul. But difficult, one would have to say. Let's wait and see. We've got 4 more heats to come, including some very, very good women in those particular races. So now the second heat of the women's 800 metres. Woman to look out for, starting in lane 6, the Slovenian Anita Horvat. silver medalist from 2 years ago in Istanbul, and recently improved her personal best to 2:00:35 in Madrid. There's Horvat in the familiar green colours of Slovenia. Laura Hoffman, a finalist 2 years ago in Istanbul. We're inside. Alexandra Formella of Poland has also improved this year. 2:01:53 for Formella. The Austrian, Bredlinger, perhaps one of the outsiders to get through. Grace Van Agnew, well, she ran and won the B race in Madrid just a week ago. She's coming here in good form. And on the inside, Blanca Carey, 15 times a national champion over various distances from 400 metres and 800 metres and upwards. Well, Horvat said she was very frustrated in Madrid. She was hoping to go under 2 minutes for the first time in her life there, and says she wants to do it here, although she's very aware that it's championship racing. She's one of the favourites at this stage, along with the likes of Audrey Vero, who's coming up a little bit later. So it's Formella, the pole, takes this out. This is a bit slower than the first heat. They dashed through the first 200 metres in 28:11, and that's more than 2 seconds slower, and they're down now to almost jogging pace on this third lap. Formella on the inside, Horvat, they're the top two.
Yeah, very slow indeed. They're almost jogging there through the 200-metre point. Carey looks to have had enough of it, Phil. This might inject a little bit of tempo into this one and a bit of respectability, but they're going to go through 400, a long way outside 60 seconds.
Well, I don't think we're going to be seeing the two fastest non-automatic qualifiers coming from this heat unless something spectacular happens in the second half of the race. Well, 65:47. That's about 6 seconds slower than the previous heat, but it's Horvat at the front. And Horvat is the Slovenian record holder. She's a 51 and change 400-metre runner, and she's got a very, very quick kit. This is playing into her hands quite comfortably. Laura Hoffman starting to move up from the back. A very good Swiss runner. Hasn't been in quite the same sort of form this year, but it's still fairly sedentary now as the pace, as they're coming round to hear the bell, starting to crank up ever so slightly. Still not flying by any stretch of the imagination, but Horvat now coming around the outside. Bredlinger sort of slightly squashed in the middle there, but Horvat on the inside. Absolute perfect placement. Horvat has got excellent tactical awareness, and this is just absolutely right for Horvat. Hoffman stayed out of trouble during the first half of that race. Is now really battling with Bredlinger. Now coming through very quickly. Van Agnew just edged out of it. That's going to be difficult, but the race goes to the two favourites. Horvat and Hoffman 1 and 2. Unofficially 2:08:71. So that means Grace Van Agnew will definitely not progress for the Britons.
No, that was disappointing for Van Agnew. She never really got herself in a good position. She left herself far too much to do in the last 100. These very short finishing straights. You've got no time off the final bend to make amends for tactical errors mid-race. She was in 5th place at the bell box and gave herself so much work to do. And on these big bends, you've got to come round the outside. She looked great over the last 100 metres, but she just left herself too much to do. Very comfortable qualifying there for Horvat, who was the silver medalist from Istanbul 2 years back, and Hoffman goes through as well. But here you can see them going into the final bend, and you cannot, in a slow tactical race, rely upon your kick unless you're super special in the last 100. And Van Agnew there for Great Britain, coming through really strongly, but just runs out of track. She's third, but way out of a qualifying spot in a very, very slow second heat out of the 5. It's disappointing that for the young Brit. She'll learn from it too, Van Agnew. There's the lineup for the third heat of the women's 800 metres. Two contrasting heats so far. The first heat won in 2:02. The second heat won in a pedestrian 2:08. Let's have a look at these 6 athletes then. Remember, only the first 2 go through. Not much room for error. The French athlete Lena Can-Disunon is a 2:01 athlete this winter. Vilgosh of Poland, 31 years old, bronze medalist back in 2022 in the Outdoor European Championships in Munich. Malin Ingeborg Nifors from Norway, 3 times their national indoor champion. Best of 2:01 this winter in Espoo. Gabriela Gajanova of the Slovakia European Championship silver medalist last summer in Rome. Good athlete, the Slovakian. Priscilla van Oorschot. Yep, guess what? A home athlete there in lane 2. National champion last summer outdoors over 800 metres. Best of 2:04. That's all indoors. And the Rachel Pelot of Switzerland on the inside, their national champion last year. She has a best of 2:02. But Vil Gosch, well, bronze medalist in Munich, that wonderful championship in the Olympic Stadium 3 years ago now. How will this one go then? There is a distinct advantage to contributing to a fastish pace for some of these athletes. There are non-automatic qualifying spots, and it's worth going for it. And we saw the consequences of running a slow tactical race and not being in the first 2 there from Van Agnew of Great Britain, who was 3rd in that 3rd heat. There's no way she'll go through in that 2nd heat, rather. The Swiss leading at the moment and keeping it relatively healthy. The 29-year-old Pelot goes through in 30.38. That's respectable.
Yes, there was a lot of pushing and shoving there over the course of that second 100 metres on that first lap, but Pelot still in the lead, controlling it from the front. It's looking as we've seen in these previous 2 heats. This second laps then starts slowing down.
Well, it always makes sense to go out reasonably quickly and get a healthy start. And I thought Pelot would want to stay out in front, but she's allowed the lead to be given up to Vil Gosch, more experienced Pole at 31, who goes through 400 metres there in 64.61. Much slower second lap that. Look, 34.2. They really have dawdled round that lap. And the Poles are such astute racers. Watch her now. I'm sure that Vil Gosch will control things from here. She won't want to relinquish this lead. Guyana of Slovakia on her shoulder going into this second bend on this penultimate lap.
Well, Gajanova, very experienced racer as well, won medals at European Age Group Championships, silver in Rome last year, and has a really good last 200 metres.
95.15. It's another very slow race here at the bell. It's still Vil Gosch of Poland who leads. The French athlete coming around the outside, Candusinon, has run a really good lap there. In 3rd place, the Swiss Pelot, but that's 1-2 will go through from this one. Probably nobody else. Pelot squeezing through on the inside for Switzerland. That was cheeky, but she left the window open to Candusinon, and she's going to pay for it here as Pelot chases really hard. Vil Gosch to the line there. 2:03.97. Negative splits, I should say. A fabulous final lap there. That final lap, 28.82. That is crisp finishing speed. But Vil Gosch, as ever, so often with the Poles in the 800 and 1500 metres, not only tactically astute, but very quick when it mattered most. And 2:03.94. I don't think we'll see a 3rd placer go through from that one either, I'm afraid. It just wasn't quick enough. None of these heats, I mean, 2 minutes is a mighty tough target indoors anyway. But you've got to be up near the front end. If it's going to be anything outside sort of 2:02 pace, you've got to be up near the front end. And that one, I'm afraid, I think we'll see only Vil Gosch and Pelot go through. Candusinon France, almost 2:05, just inside 2:05 in 3rd.
Yes, it's still the 2 women who finished in 3rd and 4th place from that first heat. And I'm afraid I rather cursed Galina Gajanova. Just as I was saying what a great finish she had, it just looked as though all energy evaporated at the bell and she was going backwards. Last year's Rome silver medalist, but at the front end a terrific sprint for the finish and really good effective running from Anna Vil Gosch and Rachel Pelot. Nicely done. Straight through to the semi-finals tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Nifors of Norway and Van Oorschot of the Netherlands. Van Oorschot, was she the one affected by that clash of arms, or was it legs on the first lap? Van Oorschot, she finished in 2:09, way behind the rest of them, unfortunately. 6th and last in that one. Disappointing that for the very good crowd in the arena here in Apeldoorn, with the stadium probably 80% full, 85% full.
So there's start list for the 4th heat of the women's 800 metres. Only 5 women in this, but there's the very good, very talented 20-year-old Swiss runner Audrey Verreaux. On the outside, Vilma Nielsen, bronze medalist 4 years ago at the European Under-23 Championships. There's Audrey Verreaux. She's the fastest woman amongst the entrants here in Apeldoorn. Anne-Marie Nissen of Denmark, 6 times national indoor champion at both 400 metres and 800 metres. Oh, Clara Lieberman has improved this year to 2:01.46, could well be in the mix. And the European under-23 champion 2 years ago, Daniela Garcia on the inside, now 23 years of age. All eyes on Audrey Vero in lane 5. It's a personal best of 2:01, I should say 2:00.16. Well, keep an eye on the finishing times of the women in 3rd and 4th place as well. It's only 2 to go through as of right. Vero getting to the front, so too Nielsen. 2 non-automatic qualifiers to go through to the semi-finals. And once again, there's a lot of pushing. Daniela Garcia giving Nielsen a fairly hefty shove on the shoulder there. As Nielsen comes through 29.2. That's quick. That's very, very quick indeed. Not quite as quick as the first heat, but still very respectable.
Well, Phil, the bubble spot, so to speak, for the non-automatic qualifiers in this one, 2:03.38. That's the 2 non-automatic qualifying spots have both recorded that time. Erin Wallace of Great Britain and Kohlberg of Germany. They'll be watching this with their hearts in their mouths. But Nielsen taking this out at a reasonable tempo. They're going to come through 400 metres now, 60.74. It's reasonably quick, but this third lap is absolutely critical if they're to go down towards 2:02.
Yeah, that's about a second slower than the very fast first heat, but Nielsen still making this an extremely respectable place. You can see that. Vero blowing out her cheeks, working very hard now midway through this third lap. Now Vero goes to the front. Nielsen following in her footsteps, and now there's starting to be daylight. Garcia starting to get detached. Lieberman up there. It's looking as though it's 3 battling for the 2 automatic places. Vero leading the way. The penultimate bend on this quite tight Apeldoorn circuit. Very forgiving bends, very short straights, but now Vero starting to work really hard. She's had a good winter. 2:00.34 in a French meeting in Val d'Orille. And it's going to be Vero and Lieberman as they come off the final bend. It's just sorted itself out quite nicely. It's going to be very close to 2 minutes, though. That's the quickest feat. Unofficially, 2:00.94. Now, let's look at the times in 3rd and 4th place.
Well, I reckon that Nielsen, who ran so bravely there, got 3rd place, about 1.8 seconds behind the winner. Let's have a look. Vero and Lieberman. Vero, huge figure. European under-23 record that time inside 2:01. I reckon that 3rd place might be quick enough for Nielsen to nab one of the non-automatic qualifying spots. 2:03.38, yes it is. Look at that brilliant running from Nielsen. She worked so hard for that, Phil.
And Garcia gets through as well. Just to correct that, that isn't a European under-23 record. She's run faster this winter. But nevertheless, a cracking run there from Audrey Vero, and certainly putting down a marker as one of the favourites for this championship. I'll have to look back. If she was to go on and win the gold, she might well be the youngest ever winner of this event. We'll bring you up to date because we've got semi-finals and finals still to come over the next 2 days. And a really good run there from Clara Lieberman. She was always in the right place, tactically very astute, keeping out of trouble in the opening laps. Nielsen, yes, she gets through as well, I think, as things stand at the moment, but there's one more heat to come.
There is indeed, yes, and as Phil said, Nielsen and Garcia both going through at the moment with one heat to come, so all eyes on the 5th heat and whether or not they realise the situation and are going to push this hard. There's 6 good athletes in the 5th and final heat, including Great Britain's Isabel Boffey. She's very, very experienced, Boffey, a 2:01 performer this winter.
Time for some middle-distance action. 2 semi-finals coming up in the women's 800. The men's event will be coming up in around about half an hour's time or so. That'll be very, very competitive, as will this. With the withdrawal of Keely Hodgkinson through injury and Gemma Reekie deciding to end her indoor season, this event is really wide open. Perhaps many people's favourite is this woman, Audrey Vero of Switzerland, on the outside. European under-20 champion a couple of times, world under-20 silver medalist, and she's been chipping away at her times and giving a good account of herself at senior championships. But this could be her medal opportunity. Angelika Sana goes in lane 5. She looked strong qualifying yesterday in 2 dead. Clara Lieberman of France goes in lane 4. It was a wonderful gold for Agathe Guillemot last night. I'm sure the French team was celebrating that. Evelina Matanin goes in lane 3. She led her heat gun to tape. She's lowered her own national record this season. Daniela Garcia of Spain picked up a time qualifying spot yesterday to make it through to the semi-final. Eloisa Quadro of Italy was the winner in Belgrade at the World Indoor Tour event there in 2:01.98. She lowered her season's best slightly in Turin. The Italian woman, a canny racer, super quick outdoors, 1:59 low. Will Matanin try and lead this race again and control it from the front? Just the first 3 across the line make it into the 6-person final. No time qualifiers and just 6 spots. We do see at World Indoors the last couple of years they've put 8 athletes through to the finals, but here in Europe they've decided that 6 is the correct number. Right, Vero. That was half an attempt at taking the lead, and then she slammed the brakes on. Lieberman of France took the bait on the inside. This isn't very quick. There's pushing and shoving further behind Garcia and Matanin, and there goes Garcia. Daniela Garcia doesn't want this to be a slow race. She's rescued this first lap through the first circuit in under 30 seconds.
Well, it's a very pedestrian first lap, but it's now starting to crank up a little bit with Garcia having gone to the front. Audrey Vero, though, as I was saying, and Hannah was commenting, is one of the favourites for a medal here. In fact, there's 3 Swiss women in these semi-finals. She's just tracking Garcia's every move, keeping a very close eye on what's going on. Lieberman as well. Lieberman's got a good finish. Vero, of course, having won many titles in European age group competition, are the really class act. So they went through in unofficially around 64 seconds there.
Well, Garcia is doing a fantastic job of leading this race, keeping the pace going very nicely. Garcia Vero tucked in second place there. She's a hard woman to get around, Vero. She often positions herself just on the outside of that lane 1. You can see her doing that as we head into the bell. Garcia still on the inside, in the lead. Lieberman on the inside trying to find a gap, and there goes Audrey Vero. Angelika Sana has been caught napping slightly. The Polish woman is pretty quick. Quadro and Matanin, the athletes on paper that you'd expect to make this final, they're at the back of the field. There goes the Italian woman. Quadro round the outside. Vero having it all her own way in the front in the red vest of Switzerland. Quadro trying to work. She's going the long way round the outside. It's a great run from the French woman. Lieberman outperforming her ranking, outperforming her experience. It is going to be the French woman in the second spot. Quadro looks absolutely delighted. Audrey Vero comfortably controlling that in the end. Looking every bit the favourite she is for some people here. Quadro shocked there, and she shouldn't be, given the races she's had this season, but she left it very, very late, the Italian. Vero, that was very calm and controlled. She put herself in a good position, didn't want the lead, and then was able to sit on the shoulder of Garcia, the leader, and just unleash a ferocious final lap.
Well, Vero did everything right there. She took the lead at just the right moment, just before the bell, and controlled the race as she wanted to. And she, of course, had all the weapons in her armoury. She can sprint away, she can take it fast. She is, for me, as we were saying, possibly the favourite, but of course we've got a very strong second heat coming up very shortly. Behind her, it was an excellent run from Lieberman, just to come through very strongly, as we can see here, with the runners coming off the final bend. Quadro, not quite in the same form as she was last year. She ran under 2 minutes last year in the World Indoor Championships, but she's doing a fantastic job of just making sure that she gets that 3rd automatic qualifying place. Garcia just ran out. Garcia, well, takes a fair bit of credit for picking up the pace about 150 metres into the race and making it a decent run in the end, just inside 2:02. But I think on paper, possibly the 3 women that you would have said should go through. So not too many surprises there. But I think a good run as well from Lieberman, even if she'd left it a bit too late to finish things off.
Now, I think Lieberman did very, very well there. And for me, I wouldn't have expected her to make the top 3 here. She is a French national champion, so she's got that championship form. But it's good to see Garcia being rewarded with a personal best for those front-running antics. But Vero, I think she can handle anything that anyone throws at her. It's going to be a very competitive final. And that celebration for Quaro of Italy, for me, I think if you make this final, you've got a shot at a medal. It's going to be such fine margins.
Here's the second semi-final of the women's 800 metres. As we've said a couple of times, it's just the first three home that go forward to tomorrow night's final. And this, I think this is perhaps an even more loaded semi-final than the first one. On the outside, 2023 European Indoor Silver medalist from Slovenia, Anita Horvat. Heat winner, Anna Vilgoš, European Championships bronze medalist in 2022 when we were in Munich. Vilma Nilsson, the very good Swede, not far outside her personal best in the heats. The fast-finishing Laura Hoffman, who's made the 800 metres final on the last two occasions, finished 5th and 6th in Torun and Istanbul. Charlotte Dumas, number 2 Frenchwoman. We've already seen Clara Lieberman go through for the French. And on the inside, the second Swiss woman in this heat. Another fast finisher, Rachel Pelod. This augurs well for an absolutely terrific last lap. We always get good races in the women's 800 metres indoors, but we've got a lot of people who are renowned for their quick turn of speed over the final 200 metres. Well, Horvat just a little bit unsteady out in lane 8, but she's away very quickly. So too is Nielsen. This is a great opportunity for the Swede, who's perhaps one of the less favoured athletes in this race, just to give it everything. But Horvat, the long-striding Slovenian, goes to the front. Slightly unusual tactic from Horvat. We usually see her coming from a long way back, but she's staying out of trouble, which is very wise. Vilgoš now coming up on her shoulder, and just behind her, Rachel Palud. 29.45, just fractionally faster than the first heat, first semi-final.
You're right, Phil. It's not a normal tactic for Horvat. She was brilliant in Madrid when she ran 2 dead. But Vilgoš, for me, the Polish woman, just on her shoulder. I think if the pace drops at all off that 2-minute pace, Vilgoš will go round. She ran two dead clockings at the Polish National Championships, when she didn't have to. I think she was preparing herself for this championship environment.
And as we come up to the 400-metre mark, it's slowed on that second lap to outside 62 seconds. So it's almost 2 seconds slower than the first race. But nevertheless, it's not at all about time. Now, Horvat and Vilgoš controlling matters from the front. As we always see, or nearly always see, Laura Hoffman at the back, the super quick Swiss runner. And she knows what it takes to get into the European Indoor Championships finals. Now we're seeing the pace hot up. Vilgoš moving forward. Pelot as well. They hear the bell. 200 metres to go. Vilgoš pushing very hard now around the penultimate bend. They've got about 150 metres. Pelot doing an extremely good job. Now Hoffman starting to move. Has she left it too late? She comes always from a long way back. Horvat now, she's drifted back, she's gritting her teeth, the Slovenian. They're coming off the bend, and it's going to be Vilgoš who's away, and Horvat moves through. Horvat gets it with that very late surge. Well, as you can see in the lower right-hand side, lower left-hand side of your screen, Rachel Pelod and Vilma Nilsson. It's a photo finish, and Hoffman just left it too late. We've seen her so often get into the qualifying positions from a long way back, and a tremendous surge over the last lap. But it is confirmed the first two home, Vilgoš of Poland, Horvat of Slovenia. Just waiting. It's agony for Rachel Pelot. Nielsen, good run from her, but it's going to be the Swiss runner who gets the third place in the final, joining her compatriot Audrey Verreaux.
Vilgosh, very, very impressive there. The turn of pace in the last 200 metres there. Vilgosh is one to watch here. There's a lot of women that have run faster on paper and maybe picked up medals here, there, and spots in global finals indoors and outdoors with Horvat. But Vilgosh, that was very, very impressive. And Pello, I think she was running tight. I think she was desperately hunting down that qualifying position. And Nielsen so nearly did it on the inside. Vilgosh cut back in the last 40 metres. It was off the bend, really. I think she sensed the danger from the Swedish woman on the inside. And Vilgosh in the white and red of Poland in the lead here. She just held her positioning in the lane and shut off the opportunity there for Nielsen. Nielsen very nearly got gifted a spot in the final there. Horvat, it was a confusing race for me. We don't often see her lead. She didn't look comfortable. She didn't make it quick. And she had nothing when the race got going. It was like she switched off for 100 metres and had to find her legs again for a mad sprint to the finish.
And the big disappointment for me, I have to say, was Laura Hoffman. But I think she just was too far back. And then, of course, you had runners 3 abreast. There was no way that she was going to be able to get through those into a qualifying position. I think she'll be disappointed with that because she's made the last 2 finals. And we often see her really coming through very strongly on the last lap. Wasn't quite there for Hoffman on this occasion. But nevertheless, 2 Swiss runners through to the final. And a delighted Rachel Pello. She joins Audrey Verreau after those agonising and nail-biting couple of minutes. There we see it. Audrey Verreau, the first semi-final winner, leading the way on time. 2:01.76. 300ths in front of Clara Lieberman. That first semi-final, a lot quicker, but I don't think it's necessarily an indicator of how the final is going to unfold, because that second semi-final a lot slower, but times did not matter.
So the women's 800 metres final. Next up, there is the field. Quaro, Pello, Lieberman, Vilgosh, Horvat and Verreau of Switzerland. 2 Swiss in this final. The French athlete there, Lieberman. Clara Lieberman, twice French indoor champion at 800 metres. Pello, Rachel Pello, 2024 Swiss champion, best of 2:02 this indoor season. That's a lifetime best. Quaro. Eloisa Quaro of Italy, 1:59 last year, 2:01 this winter, ran 2:02 to win her semi-final. Vilgosh of Poland, the Poles always so astute and competent in 800 metre running, just outside 2 minutes this winter. And Horvat there as well for Slovenia, 28 years old, just outside 2 minutes herself this winter, almost identically to Vilgosh. Moderate results at 400 for years, then shone as an 800 metre runner. And Verreau of Switzerland, one of that brace of Swiss running here together, although I don't suppose there'll be any teamwork. A lifetime best just outside 2 minutes last year. The Swiss record holder outdoors with 1:57. That came last summer. Pretty useful 400 metre runner too with 52.6. The Swiss loving this. They're having a wonderful championships. Spanish aren't going too badly either. Their athlete Verreau on the outside for Switzerland. Just 20 years old. Youngest in the field by 4 years. There is Horvat of Slovenia. Second in her semi-final in 2:03. A slowish semi-final that. Vilgosh was second in her semi as well, the Pole. And then Lieberman, Clara Lieberman, won her semi-final, the French athlete. Big hopes for her. Pello of Switzerland, second in her semi in 2:03. And Quaro of Italy, another semi-final winner in 2:02. Will this be a slow, meandering affair, or will anybody take it out? There have been more front runners at these championships than you normally get. Beautifully painted nails there for one of the 2 Swiss athletes. Because of these bends, they make so much more of the overall 200 metre distance that these athletes like to get out in front and lead. Well, Verreau, the youngster, is very tall, has a long raking stride and likes to control things if she can. Who's going to get to the front here? Quaro on the inside has gone off very quickly. The Italian doesn't want to get badly boxed, but she is. As Pello moved to the front and going into this second bend, there's a wall of Swiss athletes in front of the rest of this field. Verreau is a huge figure, towering above the rest of this field, and has a long, slow, steady stride on the shoulder of her compatriot. Vilgosh moving into an attacking position And 29.03, that first 200 metres, is reasonably quick. But if you run wide on these bends, you run more extra distance than you would on a normal indoor track, because the bends are so long and the straights are short and there's not much opportunity to pass the opposition. Wielgosz, the Pole, moves into the lead here as they come round towards the halfway mark.
Well, Horvath as well, lurking just in the rears of the two Swiss runners. Now coming round very strongly. Normally she leaves it until the last 100 metres, but she doesn't want to get boxed. 2 laps to go, going through 400 metres in 62.02.
Well, that second lap was meandering, almost 33 seconds. Wielgosz now in control. That's where you want to be on this particular track. Horvath looking good in second place for Slovenia. She's tall as well. Just striding along beside the sole Polish competitor in this one. Pelot on the inside is badly boxed. There's an opportunity here for Vero to come down the outside, but Lieberman takes the initiative, going through the bell at 30.76 lap there. Only 1:32 at the bell. It's very slow. Into the back straight, and Wielgosz, the Pole, they're great racers. Kicks down the back straight, 100 metres to run. The French looking strong here on her shoulder and going well as Lieberman at the moment. Oh, there's a faller. Who's gone down? It's one of the Swiss. And running on the outside is Horvath now in that fluorescent green for Slovenia, into the home straight, and she kicks again, Wielgosz, and she's going to take this by 1.5 metres. It's gold for Poland, silver for France, and bronze for Slovenia there in the women's 800 metres. And the Swiss pairing couldn't get a medal between them, and a heavy fall there, I think, for the youngster Vero as she went into the second bend. Absolute heartbreak for the youngster when I had it down as perhaps joint favourite in this one. Oh, what a shame. The rough and tumble of indoor racing is very, very unforgiving, and she has found out in the harshest way in her first major senior championships. But Wielgosz, well, she extends that wonderful tradition of great middle distance racing amongst the Polish athletes over 800 and 1,500 metres, and it was a superb run, it really was, by Wielgosz, who took the initiative, took it to the rest of them, and got due a reward with that winning time of 2:02.09. Lieberman, a super silver for the French, and a brilliant bronze for Horvath there of Slovenia, the former 400 metre specialist. But heartbreak for Vero, who jogged across the line there in tears, way behind the rest.
Well, we'll wait for the replay, but it looked as though Vero actually ran up the back of the legs of Horvath as she was trying to go around her. Horvath had no idea, I'm sure, of what was going on behind her, and I think that's all down to Vero. She just didn't have the speed to go around Horvath. She's already looking a little bit unsteady. Horvath got herself out of trouble, but then started to look very tired. This is where that incident happened. Vero is starting to accelerate, but Horvath, I'm sure she doesn't know about Vero on her outside, starts to move out. And Vero, well, I don't even think there was contact with Horvath. Maybe she just caught her spikes. Horvath just left her effort too late, but Wielgosz did just everything right. Lieberman, a surprise, but superb bronze, I should say silver, for France. Horvath, well, she had a smile on her face, but I do know she'll be disappointed with that after silver 2 years ago in Istanbul. I spoke to her in Madrid just over a week ago, and she said she was going for gold and nothing else would be satisfying here. Just looking at that finish again.
Horvath moved out in front of Vero. I don't think she moved out too close to Vero, and Vero ran into the back of her. So sometimes you can see cause for an appeal or disqualification. I don't think there was any on that occasion. Wielgosz, a very worthy winner. She was a comfortable winner there in a slow tactical race outside 2:02, the winning time there. But not much between the first four, it has to be said. 0.5 of a second between first and fourth. Quaro, the unfortunate Italian, coming home in fourth place there. There's the medalists and the biggest smiles perhaps of the day so far.
I think so as well. Well, Wielgosz, as you say, a very worthy winner. Wielgosz actually doing everything right, whereas if you unpick the rest of the race, the rest were doing something wrong at some point.
Vilgosh the winner then. Gold for Poland in the women's 800 metres, 2:02.09. Lieberman taking silver for France. Horvat, a brilliant bronze there for Slovenia. And Quaro, the best of the rest, with fourth place for Italy. The Swiss on this occasion not finding lady luck on their side. Pello in fifth, and Huero, after that heavy fall with about 100 metres to go, down in sixth. She will be back for more. She's a fabulous young runner, Huero, and I'm sure she's got medals coming her way in years to come.
Hello, I'm Leonardo Fabri, and you must subscribe to the European Athletics channel, because otherwise I'm gonna fight you.